Welcome to the Movement Creators Show, an opportunity for connection, conversation, and shared wisdom around building a transformational wellness business and a life on your own terms. I'm your host, Dawn Strom. When I started my business in 2005, I was full of purpose and passion for movement, wellness, and using entrepreneurship to create a life that I loved. Years later, I'm still inspired by the potential we have to transform our lives and the lives of others when we truly commit to being and living in our best health. I've also learned a few things over the years about what it takes to create and grow a successful, sustainable business that supports my life as well as my purpose. Tune in monthly for a healthy dose of insights, tips, and actionable strategies to support you to build a wellness business and create an inspired life on your own terms.
So, in this episode, I am going to talk about how to create a shift in how you're doing your current business to help you realign and feel back in alignment with your energy and your health needs and your life needs. So, one of the things I'm really speaking to here are these times in our life and business where maybe we've hit a little bit of a wall. We feel like we're heading towards burnout. Maybe you've already hit burnout. You're feeling like energetically just tired in your business, like it's not working for you anymore. You might have hit a kind of a health crisis or have new health needs that you need to attend to that are shifting how you can show up in your business. Um, or you may have had a life transition that now requires something different of you or as asking your energy to move in a different direction. And I think a lot of times this shows up as, we label it in different ways. And one of the ways we would label it would be potentially, burnout. If you start to feel like you're not being fulfilled in your business anymore. It's draining your energy. There may be this sense like you feel like you're heading towards burnout. Or another common way it gets framed now is this idea of not being in sort of alignment with your business anymore, meaning like there's not a sense of a flow, right? So alignment from a body perspective means like from a physical movement perspective means like the bones are all lined up and you can move functionally and efficiently, right? You can use your physical energy and being in the best possible way, to achieve what you want to achieve, to move from one place to another. There's a sense of like being able to move and flow in a way that is functional and creates energy. There's a flow to it. So I think that's the other thing. There's a feeling like if there's a shift and all of a sudden you feel out of alignment with your business, what do you do? And I think that when you get to that point, and I see this across the board. I've seen this in my own journey over 17 years of entrepreneurship, and I've seen this with clients and friends and colleagues. It's really easy for self doubt to pop in and to say, maybe this isn't the right path for me. Maybe I should go get a job. Maybe what I'm doing isn't valuable, or clients don't really want what I'm selling. Like there's a lot of paths you can go down when you feel like something isn't working. And there certainly may be a point or a reason to exploring any one of those avenues of thought. But for the most part, what I want to really focus on this episode is what do we do when we feel like we're out of alignment like that? And how can we actually step back, pan out, and just do a couple of simple reassessments to see if we can make shifts um, that can, just tiny tweaks that can start to bring more energy and alignment into your business and into your life. And this is for you if you have hit one of these points in your life. You have a health need, an energy need, a life transition need that's just making you feel like something's not working anymore. So, what I want to talk about are the three things that I did in my business because I hit this point, about 6 or 7 years ago. Actually, right before I ended up getting married and having a baby, I was starting to kind of feel, like there was just something really wasn't in alignment for me. I started to feel like, I was trying to move forward and I just kept feeling like I couldn't really shift what I was doing in a way that felt creative and there felt like there was growth. And it's actually about the time I started to explore coaching and, getting certified as a coach and learning about that approach to working with clients and also building a business. And so I had this sense of something, I need to find a new way to grow. And then I also had a new life need. So I ended up getting married, starting a business with my husband, or we kind of joined businesses and created one business together. And then immediately got pregnant, had a kid, and then ended up with an autoimmune disease after that. So I ended up dealing with a lot of life changes of, yeah, just life changes that required my energy in different ways. Um, Having a daughter was like a huge shift for me in terms of where my energy needed to go. And all of a sudden, just feeling like, I couldn't put it into my business in the same way. And then dealing with physical conditions that came up for me where I felt like I had really low energy. It was hard to kind of have even the energy and attention and so forth that I used to have, and to be able to devote to my business. So that all for me kind of happened within I don't know, a couple of years, from probably 2015 to 2017. And I started to have this feeling of there's just not a lot, I feel really misaligned. What I realized for myself in this process was that evaluating entrepreneurship for myself and my business was about really panning back and looking at three key things. And one of them was the relationship that I had to my purpose in my business. The other one was how I was using systems and how I was leveraging um, my systems. And I'm going to go, there's going to be a lot in that one. And then the third one was how I was showing up, like how I was structuring my offers in a way that I felt like I could sustainably show up. So the first one is really important. And that is how you view your relationship to your business. And so for me, that meant like really pulling back. And I had a very much a personal brand, kind of a dual a personal brand, but also I had sort of a name to my brand. I had at that point a studio called Gyrotonic Fit. And so it kind of had a bigger brand outside of me. I had a couple of people that came in and out and worked for me. And then there was my husband, he was part of the brand. But, largely my brand was me. And my business was about my purpose for showing up for people, supporting their healing process. It was like this kind of merged conduit, And so what I found is when I started to feel like my energy was being pulled in a different direction, started to pull apart like, okay, what is my business, and what is me here? And how can I kind of pull them apart and reappropriate some of the pieces and the energy in it? So I realized like I needed some of my purpose energy back to put into my life in different ways. To put into my own healing and well being, to put into supporting my new daughter, to put into just building a life for myself in a new way. And so I needed to pull that out from my business a little bit. And then I needed to look at the structures of my business, the ways that I put my energy into my business so that I could still serve my clients and still have that sense of purpose of showing up and supporting people to do their healing work to help. And at that time, I was really focused on working with people with chronic pain and helping them to find new ways to not just manage their pain, but actually like really change their relationship to their body. And it was something it required a lot of one on one time, which I actually really love. I love one on one work. So it wasn't like I wanted to create a course or something like that where I didn't have my presence as part of the process. But I knew I had to find a way to still show up and do what felt purposeful to me with clients, but that didn't burn out my energy. So the first step, like I said, was pulling apart that process and saying, this is me, this is my clients, and then there's these structures, there's this entity in between, which is my business. So really seeing that as its own entity that could shift and change and evolve, right? So how that as a mirror between me and my clients, how that could change and shift so that, I could continue to channel the purpose that felt meaningful and energizing to me without feeling like I kind of um was losing energy. Okay. So that was step one. Step two was to eliminate, systematize, automate, and outsource. So start to really get into what are those structures that make my business function in the way that feels energizing to me. So and structures are everything from the way that I interact with clients. So meaning like the way that I show up and have a relationship with my clients, everything from scheduling from the, concierge service to, how I communicate back and forth via email, all those different pieces. So I went into first, a couple different layers of that. Like I said, eliminate, systematize, automate, and outsource. So first of all, looking at like, well, what things don't need to be here? Like what things do I really not need to do? And secondly, what things can I start to make systems around that I don't need to participate in very much anymore? Like I can kind of let them run themselves. And then what can I start to automate and what can I eventually outsource? So the first piece was, like I said, the eliminating piece. And honestly, I didn't have as much in this. There wasn't as many things that I felt like I really need to eliminate. I did, um, there were like a few deliverables that I kind of pulled out of my service offering, but the main piece that really hit home for me was the systematizing piece. And this is when I started to look at what am I delivering to my clients and how do I start to pull it out and make it its own system. And this doesn't mean necessarily I don't want to see clients anymore. I want to not be, I want to pull out my one-on-one time. It was that, how do I place my one-on-one time within what I am offering and the way I'm engaging with my clients in a way that uses my energy in the best possible way. So not to repeat the same things over and over again, but really to give that high level support that I love giving. So I started to build out in just simple organic ways, assets in my business, like little exercises, tutorials, PDFs, things that I could start to pull in that gave energy and value and process to my client journey. Um, that were not involving my time and my energy. They could just sort of be their own things that had value and that I could return back to. And then eventually I would use to kind of as a creative process shape what I now have with clients, which is a bigger client journey that has a lot of different pieces to it. So I started to do that, which energetically started to give me some space to say I can have value in the journey and I can encourage my clients to participate more autonomously in their own journey and still show up and support them, right? And not have to have it be, um, you know, one thing, like the same thing. Like there's definitely like lots of creative ways you could do this. So this is just the way that I did it. But the systematizing, the intention to systematize and create business assets is a core intention to growing and scaling your business at a certain point. So whether you're systematizing to grow out, horizontally and hire people and have cultural systems and delivery systems in place for those people to use, whether you're scaling up in terms of just developing your thought leadership and creating ideas and products and services that can be, delivered, whether it's online courses or whatnot. Like either way, the systems piece is essential to start to make space between you and your business and start to develop things that have their own life and energy, right? It's like investing money, right? It's got compound interest. You make it and it sits there and it grows and it serves you and you don't have to continue to put more into it, right? It has its own life. So then the other piece would be automating. So I started to automate everything I could automate. And that included like sending out invoices, like finding the right software system, CRM, and to send out invoices to my clients, finding ways to do things that just had a rhythm to it, and that I didn't really have to participate, it just was kind of this regular thing that happened, I could personalize it. It didn't in any way affect my service or how people felt about our client, um, practitioner relationship, none of it. It just created some space so that I didn't have to attend to those details regularly. So looking for the things that I could automate and then looking for the little things I could outsource, and that is everything from, having someone load my Canva graphics into my media scheduler to, for me, the first outsourcing that I still use all the time that was like the really pivot for me was bookkeeping because it was one of those things where like I could sort of do it, but I really don't like it. And I like a lot of tech things and I like systems and all these things. I really don't like bookkeeping. So, but I love what bookkeeping does for me and my business. Like I really value and see the importance. Obviously to have a business, you have to have good bookkeeping systems, but it's super important for your business as well to be in creative relationship to your money and to know what you're spending so I had a huge value for that. And that was the first thing I outsourced in a way that really and I outsourced it after I had the system because, if you try to outsource, and this is actually a key point, if you try to outsource before you have the system, frequently you'll get the wrong kind of outsourcing and, the wrong kind of alignment with it. So you want to make sure you know exactly what you want. And I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted a bookkeeper, that would like help me make sure the receipt process is working and do all the things that I didn't like to do. And, I even had a price in mind. It worked out great. So I've got that in place. I have other little ways that I outsource. And this can be creative too. It's not all or nothing. You don't have to go hire a full-time virtual assistant or any of that. It can be just little ways that you either use software or very specific support staff that you can choose to come in and, you know, start to work on those systems that are already working for you and get them moving and let you step out a little bit so then you can have more space to work in a higher level with your clients, to develop your creative ideas and start to feel re-inspired again and be able to put your energy into the parts of your life that are calling for it. Because if you start to feeling that lack of alignment and burnout, some part of you is calling for more attention in those other areas. And if you make the space to pull your attention back to serve your own being and your own needs, then you're going to find that comes back and re-inspires your business in a new way. And this is really what happened for me. And then, the third piece with the systems and so forth is then to really look at how can I keep showing up for my clients in a new way that is aligned for me, that feels like easy in the sense of like, I want to show up, I want to deliver it. It works for my energy. It works for what they need. And for me, I shifted at the time into a membership model. This was kind of when the pandemic started with my clients and started pulling in these systems in some different ways. And it was really a question of like, how can I show up and do something that consistently meets my needs for how I want to receive money in my business, which I wanted to just at that point during when the pandemic started, I wanted to really just have a simple way to know that like I was, there was going to be enough flow of money and I could just put my energy into serving my clients and maintaining things. Um, and there was like a consistent recurring offer for me that I could continuously engage in. And for me, the service that I offer is a recurring service with movement at the time. And so, I just designed it so I knew I could show up without a lot of stress. I could, give my creative best to my business and to my clients, meaning I had some time and space because of how I set up that offer where I knew I baked in, like, I want to create some new things. Like, I want to try some new classes and I want to stay inspired. I want to be able to give back in new ways. And so, and it doesn't have to be a big thing. And it can be like sometimes we go through periods where we have to do a big renovation of how we're really doing our business, what the offers look like, what that bigger method is that we're using, that transformational method at the core of our business. And that's really what I help people do in the Movement Creators Accelerator and Lab is to take that big pan view. So to come and look from the big wide perspective and look at all these different pieces and let them come into a new alignment. But it doesn't always have to be the huge realignment. Like sometimes it's tiny little realignments that start to have momentum. And then when you're ready, you can do the bigger, deeper work once you have more space to feel like you can really creatively stand in your business, creative space to work on it, to vision and be in visionary space, continue to show up and have a business that, you're making the money you need to make and you can continue to see clients and learn from them and evolve what you're doing. So my point with this whole process is to share with you that it's you're feeling like you have a realignment in your life that's happening, like I said in the beginning, like you've hit something with your health and well-being, that now needs a different kind of attention, or your energy's really tanking, or you've got something new in your life that needs attention. And you feel like your business feels out of alignment and you want to pull it back in and you feel like you can kind of feel re-energized in it and confident again. Sometimes it's just these tiny shifts, right? So it's those three pieces of really being able to step back and get impersonal about your relationship to your business and say, where does my energy need to go so that I can continue to do what's meaningful with my clients, but I can also serve all of my needs as well and start to, you know, build energy in the ways I need to build it in my life. And then look for the little ways that you've already got within your business to systematize and automate and outsource and then eliminate anything that just doesn't need to be there. And then ask yourself, what can I make a little tweaks to my offer, to the way I'm showing up for people that feel sustainable? And that's going to be different for every person based on your energy, what your needs are, how you serve clients, what their transformation is that you help them with, all of that. But, how can you show up in a way that you're like, this is an easy yes for me? Like, I can absolutely do this in a way that has integrity and energy and, feels like it's going to move you forward in a way that has momentum to it. All right. So let me know. I'd love to know how this lands. If this is something you're going through in your life and you're feeling a big shift in some area of your life and your health and your energy and your well-being, and you want to create realignment in your business, I'd love to have a conversation with you and talk to you about the way that I can help and serve you with the Movement Creators Accelerator program. And until next time, stay connected, stay creatively engaged, and keep doing what you're doing with your unique work because your message and your work matters.
Thanks for listening to the Movement Creators Show. If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media and tag me, or take a minute to leave a rating and review. And to get connected and catch up on all the latest from me, follow me on social media and join the Movement Creators list in the show notes for my latest tips, tools, and resources for creating a successful business, building a wellness movement, and a life on your own terms. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, be well.